What's up, everybody? I just got to LA, and I am on the way to Pasta and Fiorella so we can live stream for the South Carolina Democratic primary, amongst some other things. Before I get to the house and get ready to talk the South Carolina primary, I do want to clarify a misconception that has been going on, that I saw a push by Nomiki Kantz, and don't get me wrong, I'm sure she was being well-meaning, and I'm sure that her goals were altruistic, but she was being very misleading, and she's not the only one, and people believe what she said, so that's the only reason I'm even doing a video to address it. But basically, Nomiki Kantz went on she went on a live stream, I believe either yesterday or the day before, saying that Warren is lying about the superdelegates, that superdelegates are not going to be a factor in 2020 at all, and that anybody worried about superdelegates is either misleading or they don't understand the process. So, and once again, she's not the only person who said this. That's why I'm beginning to be a little bit worried. So, like, the reality situation is Nomiki and the Unity Commission did great work, which I commended her on, by getting the superdelegates off the ballot in the first round, but they are still a factor in the second round. However, the superdelegates do currently get to pick the vice president unless, and that's a big old if, Bernie Sanders or whoever wins just puts their foot down. I'm like, no, I'm choosing my VP. You're not going to have any say in it. So she says, however, that Warren is simply gaslighting, and that her staff to choose by keeping Bernie Sanders from getting that 1,991 delegates. I don't understand why she thinks that's gaslighting, because if you know the rules, which I'm sure Nomiki at least knows the rules, you know that's not gaslighting. That's a strategy. I mean, if you just look at reality, right? Why do you think they ran so many of their power players all in one election? That's generally not how the Democrats do. They ran Kamala, Buttigieg, Warren, brought back Biden to lose again, clearly, for the third time. They brought in Bloomberg, who was extremely vulnerable, and they brought Bloomberg in late, mind you. Thought they could use Deval Patrick, to split votes in New Hampshire just because he's a New England, former New England governor of Massachusetts. They thought that, and unfortunately for them, their plans aren't going according to plan, and so of course, they're still taking measures to try and stop Bernie from getting that 51%. But nonetheless, we can't forget why they started running all these candidates with. Because they didn't want Bernie to be able to get the 51% in the first round. If he does not get that 51%, it will go to a second round, and there will be no choice by the Democratic electorate. It will be decided by the superdelegates, and that's a fact. Now, with that being said, Nomiki also goes on to say that there's no chance that anybody else will get the 1,991 delegates required to get the 51%. She's 100% correct about that. It's right now, it's looking like it's only going to be Bernie who has that opportunity. The other candidates have made it pretty clear, right? They're not trying to get the 51%. Why do you think Warren said what she said? She was sending a message to the Democratic establishment, to the superdelegates, that, hey, I want to play ball. I know I can't beat them straight up, but throw some superdelegates my way, then I'm willing to do whatever the donors ask me to. Nomiki's assessment also completely ignores the reality of election integrity and the issues that we've seen, not only in Iowa, we saw him in New Hampshire. Like I said, there's no reason that Buttigieg should have tied Bernie there, at least as far as delegates are concerned. And the reason why is because the 3 states where they use the AccuVote machines, we already covered this, right? Of course, there's like a 12% difference from the election poll. There's a disparity there. And that's not normal, and it only happens in the cities that are metropolitan, that use the AccuVote machine, and of course those all favorited Buttigieg. We know that there's election integrity issues here in California. Pasa and Fiorella have already done a great job exposing and hopefully reconciling some of those issues, but the issues still exist. The issues exist outside of LA County, where Pasa and Fiorella have the most influence. They exist in other areas that unfortunately we just don't have the reach to fix right now. It's sad, but it's reality. I know Bernie's intention is to overwhelm the vote. He might be able to do that, but we can't just pretend like voting is enough. You got to be able to call out election integrity issues. You got to be able to call out election fraud, because how else? Because if they're going to keep doing it if we don't bring it up. They have no reason to assume that we would fight it. And because they have no reason to assume that we would fight it, because a lot of the prominent voices have been quiet about it. Like, and Nomiki I would consider a prominent voice, considering she was on the Unity Commission on behalf of Bernie Sanders' campaign. If you're quiet about that, you are giving them no reason to alter their actions or their potential actions. They're given no reason to second guess themselves. It's like, oh man, do this. They might, we're not giving them a reason to, if our most prominent voices are pretending like superdelegates aren't a problem. If you've been paying attention, I know Nomiki just got her show, and congratulations to her on that. My boy Justin Jackson's going to be on her show in New York, right? And I'm not a fan of Michael Brooks, I know that, but if she's going to bring a positive progressive voice and hopefully do the progressive movement justice, even though we don't always agree. Like I said, I congratulate her because she did the commission. They didn't get everything they wanted, but even she admitted won't get everything they wanted. The superdelegates are not completely gone, and we have a reality that we have to deal with because of that. We can't ignore that reality simply because it makes us uncomfortable or because you're worried that people won't get out to vote. No, because the superdelegate are a reality, I think that more people will get out to vote. And the reason why is because the more that superdelegates are considered, the more you have to then consider the fact that they'll do anything to make superdelegates happen, right? To make them come into play, which usually, because we've already seen where this ends up in 2016, we saw where it ends up, right? It usually means election fraud. The only way that we can have accountability for election fraud is if your damn vote is cast to begin with. We have to have enough people be able to say, look, I know what I voted. I know where all my friends voted. Then Bernie's campaign has taken action to ensure that can go back and recount like mail-in ballots, no party preference ballots, et cetera, et cetera. But once again, you got to show up. You got to turn your ballot in. You got to have that receipt. You got to show that you were registered. You got to be able to in case of a major lawsuit, in case of a major challenge, the Democratic establishment needs to know, okay, wow, enough people participated in this election that we maybe should not take this chance. By challenging the election integrity issues in Iowa, by having that that app for voters prepare in advance, that his campaign was then they were able to then cross-tabulate. The numbers ain't matching up, right? So what did that lead to? That led to the Nevada caucuses not playing that same game that the Iowa Democratic Party played, right? He was prepared. He showed them that he would challenge the election integrity or election fraud or potential election fraud if they did try and do something, and that led to a positive outcome with little to no shenanigans. There were some, but not anything that could have shifted the election in any particular way. That led to the Nevada Democratic Party playing fair, right? So same thing. We have to acknowledge, like, hey, we see the play on the field. I'm not saying, you don't have to cast aspersions necessarily, but we see the play on the field. And if you try to play that game, we'll know that we know it's coming and we got something coming for you. When people see that there are eyes on them, and once again, I know we see these positions as like these ambiguous and they're kind of like distant, just titles, right? They're job titles. Well, those job titles have people that work in those jobs. Those people want to keep their jobs. And in politics, your brand is everything. Why do you think Tom Perez immediately tried to gaslight the Democratic Party, the Iowa Democratic Party, the moment that the app situation went south? Because he knew what was coming next, which is the DNC made the Iowa Democratic Party use that app, and his brand going forward after he leaves the DNC chair position is everything. If they think that he is cheating, he will go the way of the dinosaurs in Donna Brazil, right? He will go the way of Debbie Wasserman Schultz. If they think that you're cheating, you're done. And so that brand means everything, and you gotta remember letting people know that we're watching them, that we are acknowledging the reality of superdelegates, and we're not going to let them take advantage of a system like that and usurp the Democratic electorate. By, I guess it's like a form of gaslighting, letting them know, like, we're watching you, and that will make them hesitant to engage in any type of fraudulent behavior. They're going to still do it, right? But it'll make them think twice about it, and making them think twice to 3 times about it before they decide to go all the way in might be just the nudge that we need to get over that 51%. So for those of you who are in LA, people, I think I'm actually going to be at both events in LA. I'm going to be at the Bernie Sanders event and the Tulsi Gabbard event. I'm probably going to be speaking at Tulsi's event. I don't know yet. We're going to have to talk to Vrindavan, and we'll figure it out tomorrow or today, hopefully. Of course, you all know that we'll be live for the South Carolina election coverage, and we'll also be live on Tuesday for the Super Tuesday coverage as well. So, that being said, ladies and gentlemen, thank you all so much for tuning into that live stream segment of Mi Casa Es Su Casa. And remember, more than anything else, people, find your balance. Peace.